All right, everyone. So if you thought you could get through this module without hearing the sound of my voice, that was just wishful thinking on your part. Uh, so here I am. It makes me sad that I can't see your faces and hear your voices. But you can hear my voice and you can see the top of my bald head. Probably a little bit. Anyway, I was looking for a video that would show how to do subtraction with algebra tiles, and there are some good ones out there, but none of them really drew the connection between the takeaway model and the adding the opposite model that I really wanted to kind of drive home. So I'm going to make this video. It's probably not a very great quality, but it'll have to do. If you're taking notes on this, well, you should be taking notes on this. I would suggest that you pull out a piece of paper and do kind of as I've done here and split it down the middle. I'm going to take you through 7 examples, and we're going to work each example out 2 different ways. We're going to work each example using the takeaway model and using the adding the opposite model. And I'm just going to do the takeaway model first. So we'll go through and we'll do all 7 examples using the takeaway model, and then we'll come back and use adding the opposite to do the same thing. The reason I want to go through this exercise is because adding the opposite is going to be a very useful way for us to think about subtraction, especially when we get to algebraic expressions. Okay, right now we're just going to be doing this with integers, but especially when we get to algebraic expressions, adding the opposite is really going to be the easier way to think about subtraction. However, we can't just take it for granted that subtracting is the same thing as adding the opposite. We don't necessarily know that that's true yet. And so we're going to try to use algebra tiles today to show that taking something away is the same thing as adding its opposite. Okay? And so we'll do this by looking at several examples. So I want to start off, let's do 4 minus 3 using the takeaway model. Now you did some reading in the textbook, and so hopefully you've kind of practiced this idea already. So go ahead and give the video a pause and see if you can work out this solution on your own. I'm going to work out my solution now. So to do 4 take away 3, we start off by giving ourselves 4 positive tiles. Okay, so we have 4 positive tiles, and then we literally take 3 of them away. Right? So that's 4 take away 3, and the answer is 1. Okay. If you're trying to draw out your solution, which you need to be able to do for homework and tests and stuff like that, here's how you could draw this. You could say, well, I'm starting with 4 positive tiles. And to distinguish between positive and negative tiles, you could even write in here that these are positive. Or you could leave them, unfilled and say if they're unfilled, they're positive. If they're shaded in, they're negative, right? Something like that. Whatever system you want to come up with is fine. You could highlight some of them to be positive or whatever. Anyway, I'm just going to indicate positive with a plus sign. Now, so I have 4 positive tiles, and I'm going to take away 3 of them. So I'm going to indicate that by circling 3 of them and drawing a little arrow off to the side to say I'm taking those away, right? So there's 4 take away 3. The answer I end up with is 1. Okay? Let's do another one. Let's do 5 minus 2. Using the takeaway model. Okay, so give the video a pause, see if you can do 5 minus 2. I'm going to go ahead and give you my solution now. Okay, so for 5 minus 2, we would give ourselves 5 positive tiles. And then take away 2 of them. And the answer is 3. Okay, so drawing it out, we have 5, take away 2, equals 3. Okay, so this works well enough for positive tiles when we're dealing with positive tiles. Let's see if it works when we have negative tiles. So let's do -7 minus -3. Now I'm only using parentheses here to indicate that -3 is the integer that I want to take away, right? So this is -7 minus -3. You're going to have a real tendency, a lot of you, to want to add the opposite here. You're going to want to say, oh, that's the same thing as -7 plus 3. That's true, but that's not what I want you to do, right? I want you to do -7 take away -3. So pause the video, see if you can do this using the takeaway model. I'm going to give you my solution. I've got to fish out 7 negative tiles. Okay, so I'm going to start off with 7 negative tiles. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I've got 7 negative tiles. And then I'm going to take away 3 negative tiles, right? I'm going to take away 3 negative tiles. And I end up with -4, right? I end up with 4 negative tiles. Okay. So this equals -4. Okay, so if I were to draw out the solution, right? So drawing out the solution, I would say I'm starting with 7 negative tiles. 5, 6, 7. These are all negative. And I'm going to take away 3 of them, right? I'm going to take away 3 of them. And so what I'm left with is 4 negative tiles. Right? Okay, so takeaway model works with positive tiles. It works with negative tiles. Now, let's look at a slightly more challenging one. Let's try 3 minus 5. 3 minus 5, okay? The problem with this one, 3 minus 5, is that we're supposed to start with 3 tiles, 3 positive tiles. And then we're supposed to take away 5 positive tiles. And the issue there is that we don't have 5 tiles to take away. We only have 3 tiles to begin with. Okay. So here's how we deal with that situation. One of the things that you read about in the textbook was the idea of 0 pairs. So when you have a blue tile and a red tile together, that's just a 0, right? So if I add on to here a blue tile and a red tile, that's still 3, okay? That's still 3, because these 2 tiles cancel each other out, right? And I get 3, right? And I could do the same thing with another 0 pair. And this is still just 3, because this 0 pair cancel each other, this 0 pair cancel each other, and so I just have 3 positive tiles. But the reason that I wanted to add 2 0 pairs here is that now, you see, now I have 5 positive tiles that I can take away, right? So I have 3, take away 5 is -2, okay? So 3 minus 5 is -2. Here's how I would draw that. And by the way, just because I'm drawing it a certain way doesn't mean you have to draw it the same way, but you do need to indicate, take away somehow. So 3 minus 5, right? So I'm starting with 3 positive tiles. And then I need to take away 5. But I don't have 5 positive tiles to take away, so I know that I need to add some 0 pairs. I need to add enough 0 pairs so that I have 5 positive tiles that I can take away, right? So now I've done it, and now I can take away these positive tiles, these 5 positive tiles, and I'm left with 2 negative tiles. Okay, so 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Right, so there's 3 minus 5 using the takeaway model. Okay, see, and I have to really work hard not to ask if that makes sense, because you can't answer whether or not that makes sense. But anyway, moving on, let's look at another example kind of like that one. Oh, let me separate this out again. So again, I'm going to do takeaway. And then I'll probably start a new video to come back and do adding the opposite so that it doesn't take 2 years to upload. Adding the opposite. Okay, so let's do negative 3 minus negative 6. So many negatives, right? But negative 3 minus negative 6. Give the video a pause. See if you can work this one out. Use the takeaway model. Okay. So here's my solution. So I'm starting with 3 negative tiles. Then I need to take away 6 negative tiles. But I don't have 6 negative tiles to take away. So I need to add some 0 pairs so that I have 6 negative tiles that I can take away. Right, so that'll give me 4 negative tiles, 5 negative tiles, and 6 negative tiles. Okay? So now I have 6 negative tiles that I can take away, and the answer is 3, right? So I end up with 3 as my final answer. Okay, so drawing this out, I would draw out exactly what I just did, right? So I would say, well, I started with 3 negative tiles, and then I needed to take away 6 negative tiles. So I didn't have enough negative tiles to be able to take away the 6, right? So I add some 0 pairs. Okay. Now I have 6 negative tiles that I can take away. And I'm left with 3 positive tiles. Okay, so negative 3 minus negative 6 is a positive 3. Okay, so hopefully you're kind of catching on to the idea there. I want to give you 2 more examples just because this could get even slightly more complicated, right? So here are 2 more examples that are even more complicated than the ones we've seen so far. Let's look at 5 minus negative 2. And by the way, when I say complicated, I mean, I think this is still pretty intuitive. I mean, compared to like just standing up here and giving you a bunch of rules for like, oh, if the numbers have the same sign, you add them. If they have different signs, you subtract them. Keep the sign of a bigger number, blah, blah, blah. It's like, but why, right? Why does that work? At least with the algebra tiles, it's pretty clear how this is all working out and why this is working. So let's do 5 minus negative 2. Okay, try to do this using the takeaway model. Pause the video, give it a try. Okay, here's my solution. So I'm starting with 5 positive tiles. Starting with 5 positive tiles. And now I want to take away, I don't want to take away 2 tiles, I want to take away 2 negative tiles, right? And right now I don't have any negative tiles to be able to take away. So what do? Well, I add 0 pairs, right? I need to have 2 negative tiles to be able to take away. So I'm going to add a 0 pair. And I'm going to add another 0 pair. Because now you see I have these 2 negative tiles that I can remove. So I have 5, right? There's 5 positive tiles. These are just 0 pairs, so they don't really count for anything. Right? So I've got 5. Now I'm going to take away negative 2. And I'm left with a positive 7. Okay? So drawing that out. And now, see, the nice thing about these videos is that you can pause them, you can rewind them, you can watch them. So if you didn't catch that, right, rewind it and watch it again. But now, so here's how I would draw this out. So I've got 5 positive tiles. I want to take away 2 negative tiles, but I don't have any negative tiles yet. So I need to add some 0 pairs so that I have 2 negative tiles to take away. Right? Now I take those away, and I'm left with 7 positive tiles. Okay, one more example. -4, -3. Give the video a pause and see if you can do this one on your own. Okay, here's my solution. I'm starting with 4 negative tiles, and I need to take away 3 positive tiles. I don't have any positive tiles to be able to take them away, so I've got to add some 0 pairs. I need to add 3 0 pairs. So that I have 3 positive tiles that I can remove. And I'm left with 7 negative tiles. So the answer is -7. So again, drawing this out. Started with 4 negative tiles. Then I needed to take away 3 positive tiles. But I didn't have any positive tiles to take away. So I add some 0 pairs. And now I have 3 positive tiles that I can take away. When I've done that, I'm left with 7 negative tiles. Okay, so that's the takeaway model. I'm going to go back and rework all of these problems using the adding the opposite model. And then hopefully we can have a little discussion about why those 2 models are the same.